Hi there, my name is Gary Reeves, and this is a historical tour of Limerick City podcast. This is aimed at transition year history students, as it is a transition year history local urban field study. Transition year history offers students the ability to undertake these field studies, which students may not have a chance to do in 5th or 6th year. Partaking in an urban field study allows the students to understand and appreciate their history and the development of their local area, in this case of Limerick City. Students will develop a wide range of skills throughout this urban field study. Group work skills, as students work in small groups to investigate Limerick's development and Limerick's history. Numeracy skills, as students work with maps. Literacy skills, as students read new texts. And also their investigative skills, as all students investigate Limerick's history and development. This field study is interlinked with the discipline of geography. Our learning outcomes for both today's class and of the field trip are as follows. To be able to understand the importance of local history, why it is important to study local history, we will look at this in our rationale. To be able to apply secondary source theory to the landscape outside the classroom, so what we look at in our maps, our textbooks, can we apply this to the local landscape? And also to discuss and investigate Limerick City's landscape and its development down through history. So this is where our investigative skills come in, and also our group work skills. So can we investigate Limerick City's landscape? What's on Limerick's landscape that accounts for its history, such as King John's Castle, the Treaty Stone, the statue of Patrick Sarsfield? And can we, as groups, draw conclusions as to why these are very important? So now we can ask ourselves the question, why do we study local history, and what is the rationale behind this field study? Firstly, it's to allow the students to relate theory to the real world, to be able to put what they read in theory, put it into practice and see it on the landscape. To be able to link with other subjects, to use prior knowledge, in this case linking with geography, to use map reading skills and sketching skills. Local history gives students a greater understanding of where you live, in this case of Limerick City. It allows you to account for the development of your local area. How did your particular area develop? For example, which area of X developed first? In this case, which area of Limerick developed first? We will hopefully investigate this. And also, the study of local history gives the student a better sense of realism. It allows them to go out into the real world and see what is around them and link it to their theory. So secondary sources will be the main sources that we need to use in order to give us a greater appreciation and understanding of Limerick's local landscape. These will include modern ordnance survey maps, historic maps, textbooks, and also Limerick's Historic Towns Atlas. So this is the first of our secondary sources that will be vital for the field study. This is an ordnance survey map and depicts modern Limerick. As you can see, the River Shannon cuts through Limerick City. The black arrow on the map indicates King John's Castle, an important structure and important building nestled on the River Shannon on King's Island. Where the black arrow is, you can see the water that surrounds King's Island, and this was an important defensive feature and was very appealing to Limerick's first settlers. This will be more relevant on the historic map of Limerick when we will look at Limerick's development through different stages down through the years. King John's Castle will be one of our main stops during the field study, as will other key points and key stops along the way. We will also be visiting the King's Island area to show how Limerick developed and ask ourselves the question, why was this Limerick's first development? We will also be visiting different historic monuments on Limerick's landscape that are crucial to understanding Limerick's long history. So we have just seen where King John's Castle is on an ordnance survey map, and here is an image of it in modern day Limerick. As you can see, it is nestled on the River Shannon and has played an important role down through Limerick's history. It's a 13th century castle and was built on the orders of King John in 1200. This site was an important site prior to the construction of the castle, as in and around the year 922 the Vikings settled here and it became a very important Viking site. The Vikings had a vision that this site was important due to its location, and then as time progressed, when King John ordered the castle to be built, he too saw that this was a very important site in Limerick's location. The interpretive centre at King John's Castle, which we will be visiting, will offer you a wide range of interactive activities that will be vital for you to take part in, to be able to present your group presentation on the impact of King John's Castle, not only on Limerick today, but particularly on Limerick's history, and why it is so prominent and why it is such a regarded monument. So this is the second secondary source that we will be using on the field study. It is a historic map of Limerick and comes from the Historic Towns Atlas. As you can see, Limerick is divided up into different colour shaded areas, which represents the growth of Limerick from before 1100 to 1900. The blue area, as indicated on the map by an arrow, is Limerick's first development. This area is known as King's Island. The blue area denotes all development prior to 1100. Looking at its area, we ask ourselves the question, what was the importance of the River Shannon to the first settlers here on King's Island? Prior to going on the field trip, it is important that groups ask themselves this question, and when we go into the field, you'll be able to get a greater understanding of why the first settlers did in fact settle here on King's Island next to the River Shannon. The second arrow that has appeared on screen represents a more newer part of Limerick. It represents development from in and around 1787 to 1840. As you can see from the map, the streets have more of a pattern to them. They take more of a shape and has often been compared to Manhattan. It will be important for all groups to be able to understand this new pattern as it accounts for Limerick's development and should be present in your group presentations at the end. The first 1600 years represented on the map had as many new developments as the final 300. Therefore, the 18th century represents an extremely prosperous period. You need to be able to look at your key to be able to understand this, which is at the bottom of the map. And this will be aided by your geographical skills from your interlinked subject of geography. This is your prior knowledge of your geography, and it is important to be able to recall this now and use it in your history. You will be given a copy of this map and other material that you need on the day of the field trip. In Cathedral Place stands the statue of Patrick Sarsfield, which is a major monument in Limerick's history. It was erected in 1881 to a Limerick hero as he defended the city during the siege of Limerick. Some of the groups will be looking into the life of Patrick Sarsfield and why he was so important in Limerick's history. One of the other monuments on Limerick's landscape that we will be visiting is that of the Treaty Stone. On this stone, the Treaty of Limerick was signed in 1691 AD. It concluded not only the siege of Limerick, but also ended the Williamite War in Ireland. Some groups will be investigating the siege of Limerick and the importance of the Treaty Stone as to why it still stands on Limerick's landscape today. So to revisit our learning outcomes again, firstly, to understand the importance of local history. We looked at this and what is the importance of studying local history in our rationale. Being able to apply secondary source theory to the landscape outside the classroom, that is the use of our maps and our textbooks, and when we go out into the field to be able to apply this knowledge to the landscape. And also to discuss and investigate Limerick City's landscape and its development down through history. Look at Limerick's development as we did on the historic map, and which we will on King's Island, and also look at Limerick's history through monuments that remain on the landscape, the Treaty Stone and Patrick Sarsfield. So finally, just a quick checklist of what you need to bring with you on the day. You can bring a camera, or your phone camera will do, pens and pencils, a notebook, suitable clothing and footwear, your 2 maps, which I will give you on the day, and €2.50 for our entry into the Castle Interpretive Centre. Before we go, we will meet in the school and I will go through the rules and I will divide you up into your small groups. After the trip, we will reconvene in the school and have a quick briefing session before you go off and prepare your presentations for the week. And after that, you will give your presentations the following week in class time. Thanks guys, and I will see you on the field trip.